Hi, everyone. Dr. Tim Maggs here. Thank you for joining us. And with me again is Alan Gadsden. Alan's a very close friend, but a partner of mine in this mission to get this program and this information out to parents, coaches, administrators, and young athletes. So, Alan, as always, welcome. Thank you for being here. I always
You,
look forward to it.
me too.
Yeah, it gives us time to, if nothing else, catch up. So lately, what's been with you? I haven't seen you in a week or two.
Well, yeah. Well, the good thing we haven't seen each other in about a week or two is because you've been on the road doing some tremendous things and speaking
Yeah,
to those to hear the message. So that's been a good thing. Uh, your patient, my son Charles, is feeling healthier and
that's a
ready for
great thing.
ready for the season. And so his team has started workouts already, and we're asking him how the knees and legs and body is feeling, and he's feeling great. So things
Oh,
have
that's
been,
wonderful.
yep, things have been
Y-
going.
Yeah, and just for anyone watching, Charles is going into his senior year of high school, and probably about 6 weeks ago, give or take, we had an MRI done on his knee. We got opinions that surgery might be needed. You opted not to go that route, and it appears like that was a good decision.
Yeah, it was a good decision. Uh, Anything you can do at a young age to take care of the body before having to cut it open, if you will,
Yep.
is all thing. And so we obviously know that uh, the treatment and that he gets at your office, but also taking care of himself and uh, rinse and repeat over and over again
Yeah.
helps.
Well,
Uh,
you know the big thing, Alan, which you've subscribed to as a parent. Excuse me. We're constantly saying once a week until you graduate, and it's a message that nobody really looks at out there because we don't go to the doctor unless we're injured, and yet. I kind of look at it as money in the bank. When you come in and you get treated, you get lasered, it's money in the bank. You get the body healing, getting it working better, and you know as well as I do, these kids are overworked and overstressed, and injuries are the outcome. So, uh, what Charles has gone through and what you guys have done in the past 2 years is a model of what we're trying to get everybody to do, but it's a very hard thing today to get that done. So I
yeah,
applaud you for doing it, and
thank you.
hopefully his senior year is going to be a reflection of the work that you've put in.
Yeah, I think so. And it's interesting how we were just talking about this the other day about the once a week until you graduate. How some people find that daunting. Where the conversation here in my home about that was a once a week at the very least. That's the investment.
Yeah, investment.
That's
Yep.
and you want that return not only to be now in your teens while you're playing, but your body will thank you, years from now, from everything that you've invested in while you were younger. It's just like, a great investment, and
Yeah.
that your body is your biggest investment. You need that
Yeah.
for the rest of your
Well,
life.
it's just like financial start young, and when you get to be, 30, 40, 50, you see the return on investment. I was
Right.
you mentioned I was out in Denver this weekend at a seminar. We had about 27 chiros there. It was just tremendous because the whole Concerned Parents program has grown so much, but I haven't been out on the road teaching it. So a lot of the docs that I spoke with have been to my seminars in the past, but the excitement level was off the chart. And what I did, I went back and I told the start of Concerned Parents, and I had a picture of me and Dave Herman, who is the former athletic director of uh, uh, Shaker High. And in 2003, Dave lives across the street from Saratoga Racetrack, and he uses his huge yard as a parking lot. So his
Mhm.
summer monies, he's not in school, he's got parking for the track. So I always park at Dave's because I know I get a good spot. But anyway, so in 2003, Dave said, "Look, at end of August, we've got to meet the coaches night. Could I get you to speak?" And I said, "Oh my God, absolutely." So Shaker's huge. They call it Shaker University. So I
Yeah.
went that night. They had about 850 people, and the program we have now wasn't as evolved as it is now. but it was in its rough stages. So I gave my talk, and I was concerned because I heard nothing after, and this is the end of August. Come the end of January the following year, I get a urgent call from a mother. Are you the doctor that talked at Shaker? Yeah, that was me. Well, my
Hmm.
son is a big time runner. He's a senior, and outdoor track is going to be starting soon, and he can't run because he has a back injury. And so at that time he came in, we diagnosed him, he got better, he got a Division I scholarship. But to me, I said, wow, that was close. What if he didn't get better? That clock is ticking, the bus goes by, he loses a 4-year scholarship.
Right.
So that was the reason then that we said we better start increasing the awareness of this to this age group. But today, youth sports has exploded, and I have invested so much time understanding what is it they go through, and they just go through the medical exam as it's been written. What we look for is invisible on a medical exam. They don't see it. They don't see the imbalances, the biomechanics. These kids are just victims, and they're going to injure at some point. You know what I mean? So it's kind of an interesting journey. It's been 20 plus years now, which is hard to believe, but
Mm.
it's starting to ramp up. So I think, and it was docs were very excited about our podcast, so that's something good too. We
Yeah.
spread the
Yeah.
word out there.
For the sake of the call, and I won't say her name because she's a young girl, but she's one of your patients. And when I see you in person, I'll talk to you about her. But she recently tore her ACL, MCL, and tore her meniscus, and um, she's in the brace, and she has the crutches and everything. And I spoke to her today for a little while, and she said, once I get out of this, I'm gonna, do the PT and everything. She says, but I I thought you'd like to hear this. She said, I can't wait to get back to see Dr. Maggs, so he can help me out and get me right again.
Well, that's nice, but my heart breaks for anybody.
Yes, yes, it does,
Yeah.
because she's young, and it's one of those, so many tears in the leg at once, and
Oh my God, I can't even imagine the trauma that occurred.
yeah, yeah. So
So,
we'll
what
talk.
grade? How old is she?
She's in the ninth grade. She's in the ninth
Okay.
grade.
Okay. Well, yeah. Wow. Well, you learn a lot at a young age. That's what
Yep,
that is. So you
yep,
can't
yep,
fight it. Well,
yep.
so anyways, tonight we got an interesting case, and I thought I'd show you, and I'll go over a couple other things. Basketball player, a little older, so just post youth sports. He's
Mhm.
a sophomore in college, great kid, basketball player, and he came in, and I have a circle around the area he has pain, and he's 6'4", and he said I've gotten to the point where I can hardly play, and the season's about to start, and I'm in a heap of trouble because he plays a four. He's kind of a power forward type guy, Charles Barkley type.
Mm.
But anyways, right above his outer knee, lateral and down, he said, I can't sprint or I can't pivot. So what you've got going on there is what we learned years ago. I have Magg's law of tissue tolerance, and it's really when the loading of that tissue exceeds its capacity, the cup is full, it has no more ability. So
Mhm.
the stress in that area. Now, what causes that? Well, that's easy because it's this. It starts at the feet. And then, as I say, the hips, the height of the hips is the most important measurement in the body. And if it's unlevel, you got chaos throughout the body. So it must be that area in his leg is the area that's absorbing all the stress.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
when I hear this, Alan, I'm sitting there talking to him. I can't wait to get an X-ray. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
it's just like I can't wait to see what's going on. And so this weekend with docs, a lot of them don't X-ray. And by the end of the seminar, I showed them my research studies. I showed them case after case after case. I showed them all 11 of the Albany patroons that we documented in my research study, their pre and post X-ray. And if they go home and don't X-ray, then I know they're bulletproof. They're never going to get it.
Right, right, right.
Because here's the answer. Here's this young kid, healthy, 20-year-old kid, basketball player. So we took his X-ray, and here's his first X-ray. His left hip, 14.2 millimeters higher than his right hip, and
Wow.
3 and below is normal. So I simplified it down, If it's above 3, there are areas in your body that are working harder than they have to.
Hmm.
And the interesting thing, after I spoke, I did 6 hours. I had multiple docs come up to me and they said, "Thank you for breaking it down. You've made it so simple." They can make it. I have a case now, Alan. It's interesting. It's an insurance case. And I ordered an MRI for a patient because she wasn't responding. And now, what the insurance companies do, with no fault insurance, I don't have to get pre approval. Okay. So I ordered the MRI because she's not getting better. And my whole logic is she might have other things going on. I might need to refer her to someone else. We need to
Hmm.
know, why isn't she getting better? So we did 8 weeks of treatment and she's not getting better. So what the insurance companies do now is they have a doc over here that they send all the notes to, and the doc decides if I did the right thing by sending her for an MRI. So this doc decides that she didn't need an MRI and that they're not going to pay for it. They're making the girl pay for it.
Wow.
So this is where the industry has gotten. So
Wow.
I get that message back because he said Dr. Maggs didn't do all of the tests that he should have done. And I wrote back, I said, look, I could do 100 tests on her. That doesn't matter. I did premium treatment on her for 8 weeks
Hmm.
and it didn't get better. So
Hmm.
there's no test that substitutes the information you get from an MRI. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
So the point I'm trying to make is that we've simplified down how to learn what the patient's problems are. We know their feet are involved, and we know that if their hips aren't level, that's the problem.
Right.
Now,
Right.
the only other variable is, okay, what degree of injury is on that area of the leg. And so you go through your 6, 8 weeks of treatment to heal it. If it doesn't heal, then you get an MRI because there might be more there. It's what we did
Hmm.
with Charles,
Yep.
you know. But you have
Yep.
this insurance doctor who wants to figure a way for the insurance company not to have to pay for it.
That's right.
So I finished. My final line was, and should you continue to elect to not pay for it, we will be submitting these papers to her attorney.
Hmm.
Now, if it goes to the attorney, you know that the insurance company can't want that because that bill just escalates overnight, you know? So I'm hoping that card works, but
Correct. Yeah.
we'll see. All right. So, anyways, here's the young man, 14.2 millimeters. So, we recommend orthotics because we do that with every patient. Our research has shown everybody has collapse of the feet, and they continue collapsing throughout life. And I think a 6'4" basketball player who's up and down and up and down and back and forth and running, there's collapse of the feet. So, we put the orthotics on, and his hips are then 14.9, mildly larger, the same but more. So
Mm-hmm.
we put the well, that's not the slide I wanted to show. There it is. That's the slide I want to show. So we put the lift on his right orthotic because I've said sometimes you can't get the hips perfectly level, but you get them better. Get them as good
Hmm.
as you can. 7 millimeters is the most we put on. And we found we had some of the Albany patroons that were off by significantly more than that. But with getting the orthotics and the lift and treating them regularly, we kept them uninjured an entire season. So,
Right.
yeah, I think in order to get the 14 millimeters, you got to send shoes in, and they have to build up the whole base of the shoe, and a lot of people don't want to do that,
Hmm.
you know. So,
Well,
but
that lift looks, it's and not looks, but the lift does a lot for your hips. And you and I have had so many conversations about the imbalance of a player or of an athlete where those hips are off, and how many athletes are getting injured because of the compensation of the body.
yeah,
And um, I can say watching my son go from where he was till now, and seeing the posture, even his posture changing a little bit, um, and how he's playing, you can see the balance in him,
yeah,
rather than um, him compensating,
yeah,
because so many players wind up compensating because they just think, oh, it's just my knee, it hurts a little bit, I'll put some ice on it. Where
right, right.
you know.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing with Charles, who we've talked about this, his awareness, and it's going to be forefront in his mind, the importance of taking care of his musculoskeletal system. You know, because
Hmm.
look at all the time and effort you guys have put into it. So he knows that's got to be part of his life. What a great gift to give to your child.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Now,
know?
again, it's investment for the long term.
Yeah.
So, uh, kids play high school, they play college. Some get blessed enough to play beyond that, but at some point, the competitive games and practices end,
Yeah.
and you chapter of your life, and you do want to be able to walk around, jump and run in the later parts of your life as well. Your later parts of your life could be 30, 35, but we know the later parts are 50, 60, 70.
We do. Yeah, but the other thing I tell people, because now I'm getting to a new zone in my life, it becomes more valuable. But as you start to lose the ability, you become desperate. And they
Yeah,
sit in this chair here and they tell me their story, and some people start crying. I mean,
yeah,
and if you could just bottle that and make younger people understand it, it would be a wonderful thing. I
yeah, sure.
started this seminar this weekend with two athletes, Caitlin Clark and Christian McCaffrey. Now, Caitlin Clark had a right groin injury, a right quad injury, and a right ankle foot injury. And I
Mm,
told the class, I said, no one has a clue what her hip height difference is, what a collapse of the feet there is. And so all the loading's going through the right side of the body predictably. And and now she's been out for the whole season.
yeah,
Last year, Christian McCaffrey, who was just a rock star with San Francisco, he missed the first half of the season with a calf pull. This season, like 2 days before the season started, he went on the injury list with another calf pull.
mm,
So it's just amazing that they don't figure it out, but
right, right.
they're not figuring it out. So, anyways, I got a couple interesting ones here. This is 11/21/18. You see at the top here, patient came in. He was perfect, 0, 0, 0 with orthotics on. He was 56 years old. You can see up in the upper left-hand corner. He came in this year, maybe 6.5, 7 years later, had a knee replacement, and you can see he's 14.3 millimeters off, and now he's 62. 62 to 85 are fragile years, and you have to be more strategic. And with a knee replacement, they never check hip height. So he came in and he was starting to develop hip and back problems. So the first thing we saw was, there's a shift when they do joint replacement. And that's why I say after joint replacement's mandatory orthotics and get that hip x-ray to find out
Hmm.
where you're at.
Hmm.
Another case which is pretty interesting, we have a 10-year-old here, and this is what I talk about. Before 12 years old, we don't do our full exam. We say at 7 years old, we put orthotics in your shoes and we take one x-ray. So this young man, he was 4.2 millimeters off at 10 years old. We put a 3 millimeter lift on his right side. He did very well. So he comes back years later at 17 years old, and now he's 11.1 millimeters off. So you can
Mm,
see, and as I say, legs don't grow evenly on these kids. So
right.
not only do they never look at it, but they definitely don't look at it every year or 2 years or during a growth spurt, which they should, but it's not
Mhm.
looked at all. So Alan, I'm hoping what you and I are doing here is going to change this thing. So everybody out there knows they've got to learn femoral head height. That's
Yes,
key thing. Key thing, you know?
yes.
So that kind of is the message. So let me see. And the simplified version, the doctor thanked me for simplifying it down. The simplified version, you have to get orthotics, and then you have to get the X-ray. So that's the simple version of how to do it for
Mhm.
everybody. So it's not complicated and it's not overwhelming, but if you get it, that's where you start at 12 years old. We encourage the complete exam, set up a once a week program, that type of thing. But for everybody, the simple version is even if you go down to Walmart, get $30 pair of orthotics, just create some symmetry in your feet, get that x-ray. You're way ahead of the masses where they're at. So
That's so it's factual. It's factual.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I,
So there
I,
it is.
Yeah, and not because my kid is just a big part of this, but I've seen it with athletes. I've seen it actually before we met, and and then I think we're in this space doing podcasts and talking about this stuff because it was something I've always thought about. So the mindset's aligned with I always would say, from a fitness standpoint, I'm like, these bodies are off. I knew
Yeah,
something was off, and I knew that there had to be a more in depth conversation on how to keep young athletes safe. And then, boom, we meet. And so this stuff resonates with me heavily because seeing a young athlete injured early from overuse hurts my heart because I want to see young people playing, you
yeah.
know, and we both want to see young people
Well,
playing.
those 4 years tick by so fast, and especially where Charles is at now, he's at the precipice of the greatest year of his life.
Right,
And
right.
how tragic if something happens. And nobody's got immunity, but you got to cut your odds. You got to do everything you can to cut your odds.
Well, and I'll leave it here with my last statement. When you say cut your odds, I mean, you look at NBA players and you look at a LeBron James who's 40 years old playing, you know, basketball at the peak of, his career at this point, and the guy is very rarely injured. Um, he plays an entire season, um, and it's because he takes care of his body so in depth that injury doesn't really, you know, uh, it doesn't come into his life as fast as others, if you will,
Yeah,
um, because he takes care of his body the right way. So I'm sure the people that he's surrounding himself with is checking hip height, making sure he has his orthotics. It was interesting. I saw him on a video a few months ago donating, he's giving away a pair of his sneakers to a player in the stands, a fan in the stands. And, but he made sure to take his orthotics out of his sneakers before
yeah.
he
Well,
gave
somebody
away.
got to him. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
again,
yeah.
proof is that he's out there at 40 years old.
Right.
And
He's
not
out
not a
there.
lot of people are.
Right. And so we talked about a few weeks ago about the Achilles injuries and things of that nature. Certain players are getting those injuries, and you see a guy like LeBron James who is playing as much, if not more, and not having those injuries. It says something about how he takes care of his body.
Right, right. And that's the only way you can do it. You can't fool Mother Nature. You can't fake it to 40 years old.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah. So, well, Alan, thank you so much. Again, hopefully this message will get out to people. When I was in Denver, Alan, you'd be proud because docs were talking about what you and I are
Oh,
talking
that's
about our podcasts. So
that.
it's getting out there, which is wonderful. Hopefully it'll
I love.
continue to grow. But the this age group, it will continue to grow because I don't think there's another podcast in the country talking about this age group.
No.
So I appreciate you taking the time, and hopefully we get to stir the pot a little
Yeah, I think we're going to start with a big, big spoon. We're going to
with
get
a
some.
big spoon.
Yeah.
That's right. All right. Thanks much, Alan.
All
Have
right.
a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yes, you will. Talk to you soon.
Bye bye.